Welcome to another edition of K-State Game Day here on K-State HD TV. Brian Smoller along with former Wildcat great Travis Tannahill. We're glad you could join us as we kick off the home portion of the 2016 K-State football season. The Wildcats and the home opener, the other family reunion here for the Wildcats as they expect sellout number 27 here today in front of the packed house. And what is beautiful weather as well. Well, this is what you talk about, right, when it comes to football season. Not much of a chill in the air yet, but thankfully it's not 1,000 degrees like it normally is when we do these first shows of the year.
Not quite yet, and yeah, with a beautiful September day, this is what you dream of all off season. 80 degrees is going to be perfect. Not hot enough to cramp, not cold enough to make you uncomfortable. You can't ask for anything better as a player.
Should be great. An afternoon fun, filled with fun for the Wildcats, they hope, against Florida Atlantic. K-State coming off that opener at Stanford, where they open up on the road against a top 10 opponent. Now they get the latest home opener since the 2001 season. Of course, that was due to the tragedy on September 11th. You got to go all the way back into the 90s before that. What's the feeling like for the players right now for the first home opener? I mean, in this one is a little bit different because you've had all this time to sit since Stanford. What are the nerves like, even for young and old players?
Young, veteran players, I mean, you still had 13, 14 days to sit on a loss, which is so... You just hate sitting on losses. You really want to get off that in 6, 7 days and get out there and play again and get back to football, get back to the basics. Practices are, the rhythm and the energy is just different when you come off a loss or a win. So to have 13 days of practice off that loss, they're ready to get out and play football today.
No, I'm sure they're chomping at the bit. 25th season for head coach Bill Snyder at the helm of the Wildcat program. The College Football Hall of Famer leads the Wildcats into this one. And speaking of the Stanford game, let's start there, Travis, as we look back on the season to this point. Take a look at some of the highlights from this game. Christian McCaffrey was the story early on, and really, as Bill Snyder, and I'm sure it's been dissected by fans, outside of a couple of plays, K-State did a pretty good job. There's some reasons to be encouraged here.
Yeah, other than 2 rushing plays by Christian McCaffrey, if you take away those 2 plays, he would have had 50 yards rushing on 20 carries for 2.5 yards. That's bottlenecking Christian McCaffrey. That's keeping him contained and doing your assignment that Coach Hayes put out for that Wildcat defense. So overall, as a defense, you have to be pretty excited, pretty confident, pretty, just pretty ready to go for this next ball game. They did their job, and if we can get a little more production from the offensive side of the ball, which we'll talk about later, that defense is good enough to win a lot of games in this Big 12.
Now the onside kick late, K-State recovers. It was like a different team in the fourth quarter. The Wildcats became much more aggressive on offense. You saw the defense stand tall, and we kind of saw Jesse Ertz start to settle in a little bit. This was an unbelievably well thrown pass to Isaiah Zuber in the corner for a touchdown, and K-State made a gain. As we take a look at the final numbers, the score perhaps not indicative of how close this game actually was in the final few moments. Just too many things given away early. K-State a little uncharacteristically high on the penalties. You expect that to be trimmed up here today. There are the numbers on Ertz. Let's jump into the quarterback here, because even though he has the experience of being around the program, it was his first game out on the field. There's nothing, I would think, for a player like playing experience. You can do all the reps you want, mental reps and all that. There's nothing that substitutes for game experience.
There really is nothing you can do on the practice level, really anywhere, other than get out there and play games, especially in a hostile environment like Stanford. That's just the only way to get that experience, is to go into a hostile crowd, whether you're playing OU, Texas, Oklahoma State's crowd, Stanford's crowd. They're all the same. All the excitement, the jitters, they're all going to be there. And it's just, there's no way to replicate that in practice. So for him to get out there, get that experience, we didn't get the win, but that will help him later on in the season as we go into some hostile environments.
They ended up with 207 yards passing, but 149 of that came in the second half. We saw this pass play earlier, just a wonderfully thrown ball. The coaches, when you talk to them and the players, are very excited about Jesse Ertz. They think he's a Jake Waters type of guy, the maybe two-pronged attack. He can run better than people think, better athlete. I mean, he's a track star from the high school days. The numbers, you think, if you compare him to other guys that started as sophomores in their first ever game, he's very much comparable to that. I'm excited to see him today.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Jesse, not just today in this season, but through his career at Kansas State. He has the athleticism. We've all broken down his film from high school where he was just spectacular up in Iowa. So he has the tools, he has the talent level. It's just, can he settle down? Can he get in that rhythm? And we saw that rhythm come out in that third and fourth quarter against Stanford. Hopefully he can find a way to get that sooner and sooner every single game.
All right, defense was also the talk of the town after the Stanford game because of what we mentioned before, how good they were against Christian McCaffrey. We saw the turnover force, Sharmarky Moore, Elijah Lee kind of leading the way at the linebacker spot. You have Dante Barnett returning. You have Jordan Willis up front. Defense, where do you start with this team? We're going to talk about Lee a little bit later in the show, but where's the strength of this defense right now?
I think the strength really is just the broadness across the board. I mean, you have probably 4 all Big 12 players in those names you just mentioned, and that's pretty rare at any school, especially Kansas State, to have that amount of talent across the board. The only thing that we haven't quite been proven yet is, are they able to have that depth that when players go down, it's a long season, players are going to get hurt, whether that's Elijah Lee, Dante Burnett, someone's going to go down for at least a week or two, a bum ankle. And so it's just, do we have that depth for players to fill in, the twos to come in, step in, not miss a beat on that defensive side of the ball, and be able to play as well as we did against Stanford?
Today is maybe one of those games, this game and next week, the games where you build some of that depth, right? That's the goal, trying to get some of those 2s and 3s out on the field to be able to grow that depth and get some of those young guys some playing time. This is a team last year that was tied for 3rd of the Big 12, 9th in the country in sacks, and you're going up against a team like Florida Atlantic that likes to throw it much more than run it. We'll see if K-State can get the pass rush going a little bit. We look forward to the schedule for K-State. We mentioned Missouri State next week, the next home game. Then you have a break, and then it's at West Virginia. I mean, right into the fire, Travis, on this Big 12 schedule. What leaps out at you about the early conference road ahead?
Yeah, looking forward to West Virginia. That's really going to be our biggest test, and we do need to build some confidence through these next 2 ball games, get comfortable, get Jesse Ertz, those receivers, that offensive line we haven't quite talked about yet today, but that offensive line needs to get some rhythm in the run game with Charles Jones. Just build some confidence going in, because like we mentioned earlier against the Stanford game, they're coming off a loss. It's been a little down. The energy, it just happens. You can't be excited when you lose, no matter what. So going into that game, and then as we move forward to Oklahoma, that could really be, we'll know a lot by the time we get to OU. We could be either 4-1 going into that Oklahoma game or 2-3 going against the Oklahoma game. So we'll have a pretty good understanding and feeling about what this team's going to be capable of this year.
That West Virginia game could say a lot about K-State when they go on the road to what, to this point, you know, we're only 2 weeks into the season, but to this point has been what many are saying a better than expected Mountaineer squad. So they'll be looking to get K-State at home coming up this in October 1st. All right, Elijah Lee, we mentioned him in passing a moment ago. When we come back, we're going to hear from Elijah Lee, as we had a chance to catch up with him and get his thoughts on what he thinks will be a breakout year after the freshman was such a star a season ago. Player profile of Elijah Lee when we return on K-State HD TV.
Wildcat fans, your K-State women's basketball team takes on 4-time defending national champion UConn Sunday, December 11th in Bramlage Coliseum. Pack it with purple as Coach Mitty and the Wildcats take on Olympic coach Gino Ariyama and the Huskies. Tickets start at just $8 for adults and $5 for youth. Or purchase a $20 chairback package that includes a t-shirt. Visit kstatesports.com or call 1-800-221-CATS today. Don't miss your chance to cheer on K-State against defending national champion UConn.
Playing in Ahern with my teammates means that all of the moments that we've struggled together and how hard we've been working all year is finally paying off, and we get to play for something bigger than ourselves.
Here's Sasson with a great finish.
When I put on my K-State jersey, I know it's time for everything to finally come together. Our fans, our coaches, our team, the whole K-State family.
Elijah Lee, one of your impact players with his 3rd pick in the season and making an impact right away.
Well, this young man is 6'3", 218 pounds from Blue Springs, Missouri. And you watch him here just undercut this throw. But what an athletic play to be able to get his hands on that football, keep his feet in bounds, and really get the momentum swinging for Kansas State.
What helped my confidence is Dante Barnett. You know, he walks around confident with a type of swag that I was trying to copy and mock. And, you know, that's something I kind of focused on and carried with me throughout this offseason. Whenever we needed his leadership, we couldn't have him on the field, kind of being that field general. And, you know, having him back this year, you could tell a lot more guys have more confidence in this defense than we did last year.
Burns, pump fake. Steps up in the pocket. He's in trouble. Looking for the first down and won't get it. dragged down from behind at the 31 by Elijah Lee.
A lot of us were young last year, first time ever starting. And, you know, this year there's more experience and there's more guys knowing what they're doing. So whenever you know what you're doing, you just play fast. We have a lot of depth there. And with Reggie, you know, he could have played last year, but, you know, he got some time to develop, and now he's just that much more of a threat.
Here's Ertz on 4th and 10, looks in the end zone. Oh, what a catch! Did he get in? Yes, he did! Isaiah Zuber as Ertz puts that one in a shoebox.
You know, for the first game, I think he did pretty good. You know, with the receivers getting more of a fit, you know, that's a whole new group, and they're trying to find out who's going to go. But, you know, all of them can go, and they just need to realize that. And once that starts to get the mold, the boat's going to get going. You know, we're more of an experienced group. And, you know, you can't fall off in this group because everybody's fighting to make plays. And we make fun of each other every day if somebody doesn't make a play. So you don't want to be that guy in the film room that's not making plays. Probably a player to mold myself off of is Mike Buchanan. He plays for the Arizona Cardinals. You know, he was a safety in college, and now he plays middle linebacker in the league. And, you know, he just brings the wood every time. So, you know, it doesn't matter how big I am, it just matters how hard I hit. Very excited. You know, it's been a while. The last time we were here in West Virginia, we ended on a win. So, you know, we got to start with a win. And, you know, it's always a packed house on the first game. So, you know, you get goosebumps running out that tunnel.
Elijah Lee, there's what he did against Stanford, 12 tackles. It's the third time in his career he's had 10 tackles or more. He led the team in tackles last year. First time a freshman or sophomore has led the team in tackles since 2008. This guy is going to be special. You just have a feeling, kind of like a Josh Buell type, a guy that's long and lean in the back there, the linebacking spot. Emmanuel Lemure, perhaps, a more recent guy that's played in the league. Well, what's your takeaway on Elijah Lee?
Elijah Lee, he's just that special type of player that's long, athletic, big, and fast. You don't get those types of players very often, and when you do, you really have to capitalize while they're here. And we're going to get 3 years of pretty good production out of this young man. So he's just flying around, making plays. We saw him last week. Stanford tried to make him vulnerable and line him up one-on-one against Christian McCaffrey, and he held his own against one of the best running backs and, you know, quote-unquote slot backs in the country. So that's not a matchup you want every down as Kansas State, but when you get stuck in those precarious positions, you can make a way, and he's athletic enough to find a way to get the job done.
He seems like a perfect fit for the Big 12 because he's a guy that can cover in addition to playing up against the run. I mean, you got to be long and lean in this league, right? Because you're going to be forced to cover tight ends and guys like McCaffrey, that type of athlete from time to time. It's not just smash mouth.
Yeah, it's not just smash mouth anymore in the Big 12, but there still is enough of it where you have to have the weight and the size when you get into the goal line inside the 20 that you're able to be in that linebacker position and play a true linebacker, take on a blocker, get rid of them, and make a tackle for a minimal gain. So he really just has a great balance of size, speed, athleticism, and then the overall just playmaking ability. We see guys all the time that have all the statistics and all the numbers and the tests that should make them a phenomenal player, but he just has the it factor. He's finding the ball, he's hungry, he's just a playmaker out there using his athleticism and his speed to really help this Kansas State defense.
Teaming with Shermichael Moore, what a great linebacking crew K-State's got right now, and now we'll see how they move going forward. Is he one of the Travis Tannahill's players to watch for today? That's when we come back on K-State HD TV.
Oh man, you know, the fans, you know, Manhattan, you know, Octagon is doing, it's a tough place to play, you know, we feed off the energy.
Well, back in 2006, that was the last time Florida Atlantic played K-State. It was here in the Little Apple. The Wildcats took care of business, stymied the Owls. Thomas Clayton and company led the Wildcats to the victory. So now, here we are, 2016, almost 10 years later. We'll see if the Wildcats can repeat history and get a big win. 25th year under Bill Snyder. We turn to Travis Tannahill for his players to watch for today. Let's start offense first. Who do you got for the Wildcats?
Offensively, we're going to go with Jesse Ertz. We really need him to step up and be the quarterback we thought he was going to be out of high school. It's been enough time. He's been in this system long enough, whether he's been on the practice field or injured last year. He's been in the film room long enough. He should be making the plays that we expect him to make. He's really just need to get the rhythm. The offensive line needs to protect for him. These are great games to build confidence in your offensive line, build confidence in your receivers and running backs out of the backfield. Jesse Ertz really needs to make a difference tonight and dominate this ball game.
What do you got on defense?
Defense, Jordan Willis. At the defensive end position, he should be able to dominate this game. He'll come off the edge. He had a spectacular year last year, breakout season this year, and especially this game, I expect nothing less. He should be bigger, faster, more athletic than that offensive tackle. I expect multiple highlight reels from him tonight.
9.5 sacks a year ago. He was a second-team all-conference pick. We'll see what he can do coming up in the game today. All right, now keys to the game. What you got? 3 of them. What's the recipe for success?
3 keys, kind of tying off our players of the game with Jesse Ertz. We really just need to get him comfortable and get him confident going into the next season. We mentioned that in the players of the game. That's kind of one of the keys. Get him comfortable, confident, ready to go throughout Big 12 play. After that, establish the run early, helping that confidence of Jesse Ertz. Well, if we can use the run game to our advantage, getting great yardage on first down, getting into great positions for second and third down, second and third and short. After that, elevate our defensive play. We played pretty well against Stanford. Make sure we're not playing down to this Florida Atlantic team, making sure we're elevating that defensive play, not playing down to our opponent, and dominating on the defensive side of the ball.
We'll see if K-State can turn that ground game into an advantage today. I think Winston Dibble, a lot of these guys that we may not have heard get many carries the first week in Stanford probably get some action today. Guys we've heard about like Justin Silman, Alex Barnes, who we've heard in camp, haven't yet seen in the game. Maybe see that today. Dalvin Warmack as well. Hey, good to see you, partner.
Good to see you.
See you here next week.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoy the game coming up. Let's stay with K-State HDTV for all the pregame festivities until kickoff on Fox Sports Net between K-State and Florida Atlantic.